Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXB and today is the 30th of Jan 2025 and the FOMC meeting just took place a few hours ago. Now because I'm in Dubai guys, today is the 30th of January and the FOMC meeting did actually take place on the 29th of January, and as anticipated guys, the Federal Reserve Board has decided to keep the interest rate the same, and this to be honest guys is definitely a positive sign for the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So what I'll do guys in today's episode, I'll very briefly touch base on what is the decision done regarding the interest rate, but what I'd really recommend you to do is guys, in the show notes below there is an official document by the Federal Reserve Board. Please feel free to go and check it out. And other than that guys, Federal Chair Jerome Powell did actually go live via YouTube. I'd really urge you guys to go ahead and listen to the information from first source and listen to directly what he has to say, because historically what happens is, mainstream media they tend to go ahead and put out a completely different narrative, and whether we like it or not, it is that narrative that drives the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So let's see guys, maybe in the few hours, there is a very high possibility that mainstream media will go ahead and put out a completely different narrative. Now one thing really interesting regarding this particular FOMC meeting is that in the question and answer session, there was a question asked regarding cryptocurrencies. As a matter of fact guys, that was the very last question. And what is really interesting to note is that Federal Chair Jerome Powell did actually state that banks are perfectly able to serve Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and he also hinted that banks need to be regulated and not cryptocurrency. This to be honest guys is definitely positive news, isn't it? So I'm really curious to check if mainstream media goes there and puts out a completely different narrative. Only time will tell, and hopefully by the time you're listening to the episode guys, there is a completely different narrative put out by the fake news mainstream media. But in today's episode guys, we'll definitely go ahead and take a deep dive into this. Now the next news guys I'm going to be talking about has to do with President Donald Trump, and looks like he's launching a new media called Truth.Fi. And what is really interesting guys is that they have already invested $250 million, and they will be focusing more on ETFs, Bitcoin as well as cryptocurrencies. And looks like President Donald Trump's new organization, that is TMTG, they are taking advice from Charles Schwab, and the CEO is Devin Nunes. So we'll definitely go ahead and touch base on this news. Now look guys, President Donald Trump is definitely a fan of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now me personally, I'm definitely a fan of President Donald Trump, but at the same time guys, all reliance on one particular individual goes against the very ethos of why Bitcoin is created as well to a certain extent, isn't it? So these are things you need to be thinking of as well. Now look guys, looks like President Donald Trump definitely wants to go ahead and make Bitcoin and cryptocurrency great again, but looks like in Europe, Mecca definitely does not want to go ahead and make cryptocurrencies great again, and they have some really strong regulations, isn't it? And because of that guys, Crypto.com has decided to delist USDT as well as other cryptocurrencies. So in today's episode, we'll definitely go ahead and take a deep dive into this. But in Europe guys, looks like there is another country that wants to go ahead and have Bitcoin in the reserve, and Czech National Bank Governor, they are considering adding Bitcoin into the reserve, and looks like they're definitely going big. This is absolutely a powerful and massive news, so we'll definitely go ahead and take a deep dive into this. Now the final news guys is connected to someone that everyone in the cryptocurrency knows, and this is to do with former SEC Chair Gary Gensler. Now look guys, with the new administration in charge, Gary Gensler has retired and looks like he's going back to MIT, but this time he's focusing not only on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but also on artificial intelligence, and he's rejoining MIT Sloan as a professor of the practice. So I'll very briefly go ahead and touch base on this news. So quite a lot of cover guys in today's episode, and like we do in every Crypto and Coffee 88 series, we will be looking at two news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. Now the first news guys is definitely a shocking and really interesting one, and this is to do with Solana blockchain. And Solana guys, they are launching Dubai Crypto Economic Zone, and looks like they want to be massive advocates of cryptocurrency and the whole hype of Web3 technology. So we'll definitely take a deep dive into this news. Now the second news guys is connected to tokenization, and Tokenvest that I've recently covered in my Crypto and Coffee 88 podcast. They have partnership with a company called StegX, and they want to revolutionize global tokenized asset market. Now me personally guys, I have apprehensions regarding tokenization, but nonetheless guys, in today's episode, I'll definitely go ahead and discuss what this news is all about. Because look guys, so far the whole hype regarding Web3 and blockchain as well as tokenization is concerned, Dubai, UAE and Middle East is definitely the place to be, and the government and the initiative and the support is definitely like no other, isn't it? So I'll definitely go ahead and share more information regarding this. So quite a lot of cover guys in today's episode. Let's kickstart with it right away. Thank you to our sponsors for being part of the Blockchain DXB journey. Firstly, Advanced Media. Advanced Media guys is the largest distributor of professional video, photo, broadcast and cinematic equipment, and accessories in the Middle East and MENA region. With over 2 decades of experience, Advanced Media is now the largest distributor in the Middle East, representing more than 100 recognizable brands, including brands such as Zeiss, DJI, Hasselblad, Red, and Rode. As a matter of fact, guys, the very mic that I'm recording is being sponsored by Advanced Media as well, and Advanced Media has showrooms in Saudi Arabia and services as well. Looks like they're definitely taking the Middle East by storm. And here's the beautiful thing, guys, they're taking corporate social responsibility very seriously, and they're focusing on 3 P's, that is people, planet, and prosperity. Now listen, guys, if you do want to find out more information regarding the statement of corporate social responsibility, check out the website, that is www.amt.tv. And here's the beautiful thing, guys, they also want to be a leader and set an example and reputation as a pioneer and member of the community. And in doing so, guys, they also have an AMT scholarship with SAE Institute in Dubai, UAE. So definitely check it out. And also, guys, Advanced Media is committed to persistently developing, organizing, and hosting training workshops, seminars, and community events that educate, inform, and familiarize consumers with new equipment and the latest technological advances. So listen, guys, do one thing. If you do want to support this channel, go to the website, that is www.amt.tv, and follow the social media channels as well. All of the details are in the show notes below. Next, Startup OI is global one-tech platform for tech. It offers global high-paying tech jobs with flexibility in working time and location, global free tech events, and tech networks to connect with global like-minded engineers. A brilliant platform to listen to the tech experts in Metaverse and to grab their insights. Now listen, all you have to do is download the app Startup OI. If you're using an Android version, go to Google Store and App Store for iOS devices. Alternatively, you can also click on the show notes below to download Startup OI. Next, guys, listen, if you're into fitness, if you're into adventure, if you want to do something wild but still want to keep your health in check, there is a new podcast in town, a podcast focusing on obstacle course race in the Middle East. The podcast is called the Race Pace Podcast. So check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And the Race Pace Podcast is a peer-to-peer community-driven podcast where they talk all about obstacle course race in the Middle East, from Sandstorm to Spartan Race, from Tough Mudder to Desert Warrior Challenge, and also the Government Gov Games, and quite a lot more. The podcast has interviews with athletes locally and internationally to get inside scoop on how athletes prepare for obstacle course race. In the podcast, they also talk about interesting stories on why they are motivated to do obstacle course race. And that's not all. They also plan to release 7 NFTs. And these NFTs are no ordinary. These NFTs will represent every emirate in the UAE. And listen, guys, these NFTs are going to be absolutely massive. So do one thing. Go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to any leading podcasting platform. Check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And finally, guys, not your keys, not your crypto. If you have dabbled with cryptocurrencies and now are seriously getting to protect your cryptocurrencies, there is no better way to protect it by using a hardware wallet. And this is where Ledger Wallet kicks in. And Ledger Wallets are hardware cryptocurrency wallets made by Ledger, a company headquartered in Paris, France. And Ledger's hardware wallets are multi-currency wallets that are used to store private keys for cryptocurrencies offline. And Ledger offers 2 hardware wallets, the Ledger Nano and Ledger Nano X wallets. They are world-class experts with extensive crypto security backgrounds. They continuously look for vulnerabilities in Ledger products in a constant effort to improve the level of security. Now, in today's world, securing these digital assets is a critical challenge, and this is where Ledger kicks in. So click the link below to buy your hardware wallet and support this podcast. It is a brilliant way to support this podcast. So what are you waiting for? The link is in the show notes below. Now, guys, since you've taken care of that, let's kickstart by looking at the global cryptocurrency market. Now, since the last 24 hours, guys, the global cryptocurrency market has marginally pumped up by 6.99%. But if you look at the global cryptocurrency market snapshot, guys, there's some massive drama going on in the world of decentralized exchanges. And most of the drama is actually connected to Solana blockchain. And there's some drastic movement going on in the world of Solana. Now, we'll definitely go ahead and touch base on this. But before that, guys, let me quickly run through the global cryptocurrency snapshot. Because since the last 24 hours, it is up by 2.94%. And if you look at the global cryptocurrency market, it is staying strong at $3.53 trillion. Now look, guys, the FOMC meeting just took place a few hours ago. And because I'm in Dubai, guys, the FOMC meeting did actually take place on the 29th of January at 11 p.m. Gulf Standard Time, and that is one of the reasons why I'm covering it today. Now, based on my understanding, guys, the outcome of the FOMC meeting is definitely looking good so far as the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is concerned, but it totally depends on what narrative the mainstream media goes ahead and picks up tomorrow, and whether we like it or not, it is that narrative that will drive the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies over the weekend. So what I'd really recommend you to do is, guys, on the weekend, that is Saturday and Sundays, keep a track of the volume of stable coins, and you may want to compare it with the 24-hour trading volume, and that would give us a very good indication as to which direction the prices would be heading towards in the month of February. Now, that thing being said, guys, if you look at the global cryptocurrency market, it is staying strong at $3.53 trillion, and if you look at the total cryptocurrency market volume since the last 24 hours, it is definitely about the $100 billion mark, and it is at $125.36 billion. But listen, guys, no matter what happens in the cryptocurrency and blockchain or even political world, the volume in decentralized finance is ridiculously low, isn't it? And today, guys, it is no surprise, and the volume of decentralized finance is only at $8.24 billion, and DeFi, guys, as of today, is accounting for only 6.58% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. And if you look at the total value locked, guys, of decentralized protocol, it is only at $117.96 billion, with Lido still dominating at $30.14 billion. Now, the only matrix that I'm content with so far as decentralized exchange is concerned, that is to do with the decentralized exchange dominance, and today it is at a staggering 42.66%. But look, guys, there is always some drama in the world of decentralized exchanges, and that is only because of Solana blockchain. And if you look at the volume of decentralized exchanges working on Solana blockchain, they are still high, but in comparison to last week, guys, it has definitely fallen down miserably. And later on, guys, when we look at two news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East, we will definitely go and touch base on what is Solana doing in Dubai. Now, me personally, guys, I'm definitely not a fan of Solana blockchain as such, but so far as transaction volume is concerned, they're definitely making some news. But look, guys, a lot of these transactions are connected to meme coins, and to be honest, guys, most of the transactions are actually taking place in Pump.Fun, isn't it? So it's going to be really interesting to see if there's some long-term use cases regarding Solana blockchain. Now, that thing being said, guys, let's quickly run to the volume of decentralized exchanges, and today the numbers are completely different. PancakeSwap, guys, today is at number 1, and its 24-hour volume is $3.85 billion. Uniswap, after almost 2 weeks, today is at number 2, guys, and its 24-hour volume is $2.76 billion. Radium is at number 3, and its 24-hour volume is $2.15 billion. Meteor, guys, is at number 4, and its 24-hour volume is below the $1 billion mark. It is only at $928.01 million. And Aerodrome is at number 5th, and its 24-hour volume is $890.31 million. Now, what I'd really recommend you to do is, guys, go to DeFiLlama.com, and one of the metrics which I'm not content with regarding decentralized exchange, that is the weekly percentage that has gone down for most of the exchanges, and Orca's 7 days volume is down by 65.89%, whereas Radium's percentage is down by 36.14%. This, to be honest, is definitely not looking good, particularly when there's so much of volatility in the cryptocurrency market, isn't it? And that is one of the reasons, guys, when you look at decentralized exchange dominance, despite the percentage being high, we also need to acknowledge that a lot of centralized exchanges are using decentralized exchanges. So it's going to be really interesting to see, guys, if let's say there's a new blockchain protocol where a lot of decentralized exchanges operate, could it be Ethereum once again, or will it be Binance BNB Smart Chain? Let's see, guys, what is in store for us for the rest of 2025. Now, so far as the volume of stablecoins is concerned, the numbers are relatively okay, to be honest. The volume is only at $113.92 billion. Now, look, guys, this particular matrix should be compared with the 24-hour volume of cryptocurrencies, and the 24-hour volume is $125.36 billion. Now, thankfully, guys, as of now, the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies hasn't fallen down. So based on these numbers, I'm kind of okay with what I'm looking at. But let's say, guys, if the prices were to be going down, in that case, I would really like to see the volume of stablecoins pumping up, because that would indirectly mean that people are converting a lot of the cryptocurrencies onto stablecoin, and they're just temporarily parking it, isn't it? So let's see, guys, over the next coming days, if mainstream media puts out a completely different narrative to the actual FOMC meeting, because if you look at the 24-hour trading volume, guys, the numbers are kind of okay, to be honest, definitely not an anomaly. But before we get in details into that, guys, let me quickly run to the volume of stable coins. And Tether USDT is leading the pack with $96.90 billion. And regarding Tether USDT, guys, we do have some unfortunate news. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, Crypto.com has decided to delist Tether USDT, and that is only because Tether USDT is not MiCA compliant. Now so far Circle USDC is concerned, guys, they're definitely compliant under MiCA regulations, and its 24-hour volume is at $8.87 billion, whereas FDUSD is at number 3rd, and its 24-hour volume is $7.08 billion. Now let's quickly run to the market cap, 24-hour trading volume and dominance between Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now Bitcoin's market cap, guys, is at a staggering $2.05 trillion, whereas Ethereum's market cap has taken a massive hit, and it is down to $379 billion. Now so far as the 24-hour trading volume is concerned, as I mentioned earlier, guys, there is no anomaly as such, and the 24-hour volume of Bitcoin is $47.98 billion, whereas the 24-hour trading volume of Ethereum is $23.71 billion. Now surprisingly, guys, since the last 24 hours, the dominance of Bitcoin has picked up pace once again, and today it is at 58.48%, which just means, guys, there is not much activity taking place in Ethereum blockchain, and Ethereum's dominance has actually gone down, and it is down to 10.08%. Now every day in my Crypto and Coffee Day podcast, guys, I try to look at one new matrix, isn't it? And what I want to do in today's episode, I want to look at the total value locked across all chains, and this gives us an indication, guys, as to what amount of fund is staked into different blockchain protocols. Now it's no surprise that Ethereum is number 1, and its total value locked is $63.11 billion. Solana, guys, is at number 2nd, and the total value locked is $10.92 billion. The difference is absolutely massive. Now the third one, guys, is Tron blockchain, and the total value locked is $7.10 billion. The fourth one, guys, is Bitcoin blockchain, and the total value locked is $7.04 billion. And at number 5th is Binance BNB Smart Chain, and the total value locked is $5.37 billion. Now, guys, let's go and look at the king of all kings, that is Bitcoin, and the price of Bitcoin is staying strong over the $100,000 mark, and it is at $103,604. And since the last 24 hours, it is up by 2.13%, and since the last 7 days, it is up by 0.21%. Ethereum, guys, unfortunately is not doing that great. It is only at $3,107, and since the last 24 hours, it is up by 0.28%, but since the last 7 days, it is down by 4.55%. Ripple or XRP, guys, the prices have marginally gone down since the last few days, and today it is down to $3.06, and since the last 24 hours, it is down by 0.37%, and since the last 7 days, it is down by 3.53%. Now, regarding Ripple, guys, a lot of Bitcoin maximalists are definitely not happy about it, because Brad Garlinghouse, who's the CEO of Ripple, he did actually make a suggestion regarding the Bitcoin reserve, and what he's actually stating that the US government, rather than having a Bitcoin reserve, should actually have a mixture of cryptocurrencies, and he was talking about adding XRP and other cryptocurrencies, and that has definitely triggered a lot of Bitcoin maximalists. Now, me personally, guys, I'd like to see only Bitcoin in the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. So let's see, guys, what is it that the working group comes up with, and it's really important to understand, guys, that the executive order signed by President Donald Trump focuses on creating a working group, and they will be the one who will be making certain suggestions and making decisions regarding the strategic reserve. Now, regarding President Donald Trump, guys, the only thing that he said is that the existing Bitcoin will not be sold. Nothing beyond that. Now, 2025 is definitely looking good so far as the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are concerned. And just few hours ago, guys, the one of the biggest events that was scheduled to take place in January did actually take place, and that was the FOMC meeting. And the Federal Reserve Board, guys, they did officially issue an FOMC statement, and the official statement directly from the Federal Reserve Board website is in the show notes below. And as I mentioned earlier, guys, please go ahead and read through that particular document, or what I'd really recommend you to do is, guys, Federal Chair Jerome Powell did actually go live via YouTube, and in that session, guys, he went ahead and gave his reasoning as to why he has decided to keep the interest rate the same. And he also talked about the overall economic conditions in the United States of America. And essentially, guys, the Federal Reserve Board has decided to keep the federal rate interest rate at 4.25% to 4.5%. And at the same time, guys, they will also continue reducing the holdings of Treasury and mortgage-backed securities. This, to be honest, guys, is definitely a positive news for the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now, Federal Chair Jerome Powell, guys, clearly stated that they will carefully assess economic data and adjust monetary policies, and that is to support the goal of employment and inflation control. Now, whenever Federal Chair Jerome Powell goes live via YouTube, guys, he does give his reasoning as to why he has cornered and made the decision, and what he's actually stating that the economic conditions are looking good, and even the labor market conditions are not that bad as well, and because of that, guys, they have decided to keep the interest rate the same. Now after his announcement, guys, that is the time when there are question and answer session, and I have to say it, guys, this might be the very first time. Looks like the journalists were relatively calm and they did not want to blame President Donald Trump for whatever is going on. And there was a question regarding cryptocurrency as well. And as a matter of fact, guys, that was the final question in the session. And it was a representative for Bankrate.com who asked a question regarding cryptocurrencies and what is their stance, because it is extremely volatile. And Jerome Powell, guys, did actually reply that banks are perfectly able to serve Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and he also hinted that banks need to be regulated and not cryptocurrencies, and he also stated that we should not be stifling innovation. And this, to be honest, guys, is definitely a positive move by the Federal Reserve Board. Now, there were a couple of questions regarding President Donald Trump's involvement regarding reducing the interest rate, and Federal Chair Jerome Powell clearly said that he does not want to entertain this question. Now, the only thing which I feel the mainstream media might be putting out a completely different narrative is regarding a question regarding reducing the interest rate in the month of March, and Federal Chair Jerome Powell in response to that did actually state that they are not in a hurry to go and reduce the interest rate. Now look, guys, this particular answer can be completely taken in a different context, and mainstream media could actually state that United States of America is heading towards inflation. So let's see, guys, what fake news mainstream media goes ahead and talks about it. And there was also a question regarding Elon Musk, guys, and that was regarding the outrageous spending done by Federal Reserve Board. But once again, Federal Chair Jerome Powell decided not to comment on it. But at the same time, guys, he did actually acknowledge that the expenses done by the Federal Reserve Board is ridiculously high. So it's going to be really interesting to see, guys, what narrative mainstream media goes ahead and puts out tomorrow. Now regarding DOGE, that is Department of Government Efficiency, guys, could it be possible that they might be suggesting to abolish the Federal Reserve Board? I definitely am hoping for that thing to happen. Now look, guys, if you actually do a lot of research, you truly understand why abolishing the Federal Reserve Board is a great idea. And if you're someone who wants to collaborate and release a standalone episode on that, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. Now guys, let's go ahead and discuss President Donald Trump's move to get into the media game. And this is through his new platform called as Truth.Fi and his company called as TMTG, that is Trump Media and Technology Group. They have launched Truth.Fi brand and they plan to build investment vehicles, and they are based on American principles first, and they are investing up to $250 million in SMAs, ETFs, Bitcoin, as well as cryptocurrencies, with Charles Schwab advising them. And the CEO, guys, is Devin Nunes. And Devin Nunes said that this particular project will be focusing with America First vision, and this particular initiative of Truth.Fi is more of a media platform, and they aim to build a censorship-free financial ecosystem with a 2025 launch date, and they're just waiting for regulatory approval at this point of time. So look, guys, what I'd really recommend you to do is keep an eye on what is going on with Truth.Fi, because they're definitely focusing on ETFs, Bitcoin, as well as cryptocurrencies, and looks like President Donald Trump definitely wants to go ahead and make Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies great again. But unfortunately, guys, in Europe, looks like Mika definitely does not want to go ahead and make cryptocurrencies great again. And Crypto.com, guys, which is the second largest global cryptocurrency exchange in the world, will be officially delisting Tether USDT and 9 other assets in Europe, and they're doing that to comply with MiCA regulations. Now, under the MiCA regulations, guys, stablecoin issuers are to be registered as electronic money institutions, and because Tether USDT does not have this particular license, and because the issuers of USDT that is Tether do not have this license, the exchanges must remove USDT, and that is exactly what Crypto.com has decided to do. And effective 31st of Jan 2025, guys, USDT purchases will be suspended, and by March of 31st, 2025, users must convert non-compliant assets, or they will be automatically sought for MiCA-compliant alternatives. Now, if you do need more information, guys, the link to this is in the show notes below. And if you're someone in Europe, guys, you definitely need to be onboarded with this news, isn't it? And just a few days ago, guys, I did have an interview with Yoel, who's a press spokesperson from Relay, and he also talked about how Relay is planning to be MiCA compliant, and he also gave an explanation as to why Relay is trying to be MiCA compliant. So please feel free to go ahead and check out that particular episode. Now, guys, let's go ahead and discuss a really interesting move all the way from Czech and Czech Central Bank, guys. They are weighing in to add $7 billion in Bitcoin reserve, and Czech National Bank Governor, that is Alex Merkel, has plans to propose allocating 5%, which is equivalent to $7 billion of reserves into Bitcoin, and this just might happen in the next few days, guys. And he cites diversification and growing institutional interest following BlackRock's ETF launch. Now, it's really important to understand, guys, while this is still at an analysis stage, the governor acknowledges Bitcoin's volatility, but at the same time, he does see future potential in it. And here's the interesting thing, guys. If this thing is approved, the Czech National Bank could be the first Western central bank to hold Bitcoin, and the bank could eventually hold as much as 5% of its reserves in Bitcoin, which is approximately $7 billion. Now, the official link to this is published by Reuters, and the link to that is in the show notes below. Now, the final news guys is someone who was a detractor to the cryptocurrency space, and that is to do with former SEC Chair Gary Gensler, and looks like he's taking up a new role. And he's been named professor of the practice at MIT Sloan School of Management, and he's rejoining MIT Sloan as a professor of practice, but this time guys, he will be focusing on artificial intelligence, finance, fintech and public policy, and he will also co-direct Fintech TI alongside Professor Andrew W. Lowe, so it looks like he's definitely not claiming unemployment benefits. Now look, as a lot of people in the cryptocurrency space definitely bash Gary Gensler, and rightly so as well. But at the same time, guys, you do have to acknowledge that he's a massive advocate of Bitcoin as such, and before taking up the role of SEC chair, guys, he was a professor at MIT, and he was explaining how Bitcoin and blockchain technology works. And regarding him rejoining, guys, the MIT faculty welcomed his return, and they are highlighting his expertise in finance, regulations, and technology as well. Now, I'm pretty much sure, guys, a lot of people in the cryptocurrency space are definitely happy about this, isn't it? And I'm definitely one of them as well, to be completely honest. Now, these were the newscasts on the cryptocurrency blockchain world. Now, let's look at two news from Dubai, UAE, and the Middle East. And the first news, guys, is connected to Solana blockchain. And the news essentially is that Solana is launching Dubai Crypto Economic Zone. So let me go ahead and give out more information regarding this, because the reason why they're doing that is to strengthen its global Web3 presence. And this particular initiative, guys, highlights Dubai's growing significance in the crypto and Web3 landscape, isn't it? And so far as the economic zone is concerned, it aims to foster innovation, community building and collaboration. And Alex Scott, who's Solana's Middle East lead, describes the initiative as a transformative platform for Web3 growth. And so far stakeholders' involvement is concerned, guys, this particular zone will bring together policymakers, capital allocators and Web3 engineers as well. Now look, so far as Dubai is concerned, it is definitely in a unique position, isn't it? And Dubai's progressive governance, vibrant culture and tech commitment make it an ideal location for Web3 space. And the UAE's clear crypto regulations, guys, do actually provide for a supportive and de-risk environment. Now while tax incentives exist, guys, the main attraction is a thriving ecosystem for crypto founders. And if you talk about location, guys, Dubai's position between East and West makes it a perfect base for global operations as well. And the Emirate, guys, as a city offers unparalleled institutional connectivity for crypto businesses. And Dubai's cosmopolitan culture, safety and the infrastructure attract Web3 entrepreneurs as well. And this initiative, guys, is built on content, capital and community as well. And here's the thing, guys, this particular move by Solana is focusing on content creation, and they aim to educate and engage stakeholders with workshops, events and thought leadership as well. And they're also providing funding opportunities and investor connections for Web3 startups, and they want to foster a thriving Web3 ecosystem through networking and collaboration. And they are encouraging new blockchain solutions and industry advancements as well. And they also plan to work with UAE regulators to enable a sustainable Web3 framework. And I'm pretty much sure, guys, more entrepreneurs and investors are moving to Dubai due to these initiatives. So definitely a genius move. Now, guys, let's go and discuss second news. And this is in the world of tokenization. And Talk Invest and StageX, guys, they've announced a strategic partnership to revolutionize tokenized real-world assets. And this partnership, guys, bridges Dubai and Frankfurt, which are two major financial powerhouses, isn't it? And the goal is to enhance transparency, liquidity, and financial inclusion in tokenized asset markets. And this particular collaboration leverages Dubai's virtual asset expertise and Germany's financial regulatory framework as well. And investors and issuers benefit from a secure, global tokenized investment ecosystem. And this partnership, guys, is a significant step towards a widespread adoption of tokenized assets. And Scott Thiel, who is the CEO of Talk Invest, emphasizes democratizing access to exclusive assets. And so far StageX is concerned, guys, their blockchain and tokenization capabilities complement Talk Invest investment marketplaces, and investors get cross-border access because they can gain access to tokenized assets across Dubai and Frankfurt, and this will be done under clear regulations. And so far as liquidity is concerned, guys, this partnership facilitates cross-listing and trading, improving liquidity in tokenized markets, and issuers can raise capital more effectively, while at the same time investors can access a diverse range of assets. And they're also focusing on integration between Europe and Middle East, and they will be connecting Europe's financial strength with the Middle East crypto innovation. And investors and asset owners, guys, will definitely benefit from a compliant and secure ecosystem for tokenization and Talk Western X, guys. They focus heavily on compliance, security, and regulatory clarity, and so far as real-world asset focus is concerned, the tokenized offerings include real estate, commodities, and funds, and this particular partnership, guys, fosters efficiency, transparency, and trust in blockchain-based investment, and they aim to accelerate the adoption of tokenized assets worldwide, and this collaboration sets the stage for next-generation financial solution in tokenized markets. Now look, so far as tokenization is concerned, me personally, I'm still not convinced with this whole idea, because look, so far as tokenization is concerned, guys, it will work only on permission blockchain, and according to me, guys, there's nothing called as permission blockchain. The other word for that is software, because in a permission blockchain, you can definitely go ahead and double spend, you can go ahead and restrict your transactions, and who's to say, guys, you can also go ahead and rewrite the entire history of blockchain as well. So I'm really curious to check if real-world asset tokenization can actually work on open blockchain. Now, if you do want to be featured in one of my episodes, guys, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com, and we can definitely go ahead and have an in-depth discussion regarding this. So these were the newscasts on the Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, blockchain, and artificial intelligence world from Blockchain DXB. In case if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. Now for the next few minutes, it's going to be an Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. So let's get started with the Ask Me Anything series. Hey everyone, it's Josh from Blockchain DXB. You're listening to the Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. I have a question by Jen who asks, with Crypto.com delisting USDT in Europe, do you see more exchanges following similar pursuit? And will Tether find a way to comply with MiCA regulations? This, to be honest, Jen, is such a brilliant and important question. And yes, I do feel that other cryptocurrency exchanges, they will be following a similar pursuit, or they will not be able to operate in Europe due to MiCA regulations. Me personally, Jen, I'm definitely not a fan of regulations as such, but when you talk about centralized exchanges, or even stablecoin issuers for that matter, these are centralized entities, and in these cases, I definitely do think that there should be regulations in place. And look, one of the things I often question is, why is it that the USDT not trying to be MiCA compliant? Because they are a centralized entity, and they are the ones who issue USDT. Now, historically, if you look at the auditing process, it is definitely raising a lot of red flags and alarms, and it is only because of that I don't think they want to go ahead and be MiCA compliant, and Tether is choosing not to operate in Europe. This, to be honest, definitely raises a lot of red flags, isn't it? And I do feel, Jen, that Tether's lack of electronic money institution license definitely puts it in a challenging position unless they secure regulatory approval for the delisting should occur and will occur as well. Now, if we talk about it from a user's point of view, I do feel that users and liquidity may shift towards more MiCA compliant stablecoin issuers, and that could be Circle USDC or emerging euro-backed options. And I've often said this 2 to 3 years down the line, I wouldn't be surprised if Circle USDC turns out to be the leader, and with Ripple stablecoin, that is RLUSDT, getting into the game, they are MiCA compliant if I'm not mistaken. So I do feel that 3 to 5 years down the line, the top 3 stablecoin issuers might just be Circle USDC, followed by Ripple's RLUSD and maybe another stablecoin. But if Tether USDT does actually decide to be compliant, I'm pretty much sure they will be in the top 3 and definitely leading the pack once again. But definitely an interesting question. And that's about all, guys, from the Ask Me Anything series on Blockchain DXB. In case if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. Remember, Monday to Thursdays we have the Blockchain DXB podcast, where we cover top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well, news that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other 2 news and information is related to Dubai, UAE, and Middle East, from the cryptocurrency, blockchain, and now artificial intelligence world as well. And what you're listening to right now is the Ask Me Anything series, where your listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a nice one. Bye-bye.